20 years ago, I took my first step into an entrepreneurial endeavor, and what I didn't know about entrepreneurship or what I was getting myself into was staggering. In hindsight, it's probably a good thing I didn't know, because fear would have probably prevented me from taking that leap in the first place. Fast forward 20 years later, and I now have the privilege to work at the Kauffman Foundation, where we understand and have a deep appreciation for the value of good entrepreneurial education. So this episode of Top of Mind, we're sitting down with Director of Entrepreneurship, Dr. Wendy Torrance, to explain and unveil the Kauffman Founder School, a rich, new, exciting entrepreneurial education program being launched by the Kauffman Foundation. I'm Tom Rue, and this is Top of Mind. We're joined today on Top of Mind with Dr. Wendy Torrance, Director in Entrepreneurship here at the Kauffman Foundation. Wendy, thank you so much for joining us on Top of Mind today.
Thanks for having me.
Well, this is an exciting time here at the Foundation, in particular because of a very significant project that we're announcing, or I should say a program that we're announcing this week. And as the lead architect behind this year-long effort, I thought for the viewers of Top of Mind, we would just start by talking about, well, let's start at the top. What is Founder School?
So Kauffman Founder School is an online education resource that was really built with entrepreneurs in mind. And one of the questions that I asked myself when I began working on this project was, what is it that entrepreneurs need to know? What resources can we provide for them that will make a difference in the trajectory of either their development or the development of their company?
Now, there's a lot of education programs out there in the marketplace. As a matter of fact, several that we have partnered to produce or fund. So what is different about Kauffman Founder School?
So there are a few things that make Founder School unique. One of them is that we have identified top experts, subject matter experts, that we've worked with to develop a series of lectures that have then been embedded in a curriculum that affords entrepreneurs the opportunity to learn lessons and implement knowledge in ways that will help them with their company. So we've taken a series of lectures and created suggested readings, tools, and developed a set of questions that we believe the entrepreneur should ask themselves in implementing the lessons, questions they should ask their team, because we know that very few entrepreneurs are on a solo journey, so they're engaging with team members, and affording them a really rich learning experience that leverages the potential of online learning. The information is available, presented in a modular way, so that entrepreneurs can find information when they need it, just in time, if you will, when they have a problem or a question that they encounter in the process of building their business.
Can you give an example, like maybe founding issues? Now, I admit I have a little bit of insight as to what we've tapped, so it is a leading question intentionally.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to highlight some of those.
So a few initial skills. One of our experts has said, nothing happens until something gets sold. So what do you have to have a company? You have to have a customer. Right? And so sales is a crucial skill that entrepreneurs need to have. It's a topic that's not typically well covered, and we really fill a gap with this curriculum in offering a very unique perspective on sales that considers the entrepreneurial perspective on sales, because selling for an entrepreneur is very different than what a salesperson does for a very large company.
So selling, and you're right, we've heard that time and time again, there was gap. What other gaps did we try to fill, with the Kauffman Founder School? In
our initial modules that we'll be presenting, we're also covering intellectual property, which is a very often difficult subject for entrepreneurs to understand. It seems complicated. There are a lot of pieces to it. We're presenting lectures from an expert who explains intellectual property, but more than that, he explains how intellectual property needs to fit in to the strategic plan of your business. That is, you don't get a patent just for the sake of getting a patent, but you get a patent because it fits some business goal that you have. He also covers in these lectures the kinds of things you need to think about as an early company in order to protect your intellectual property. There's a lot of excitement around a startup, right? You want to invite people in to see your cool new offices, and you want to hire people quickly because you think you're going to be growing fast. And one of the things that he says is, look, you have to be mindful about hiring people. You might hire someone who brings intellectual property from their previous firm, and they might have to give their previous firm everything they create for the 6-month period after they leave their former company, which means that if you hire them before 6 months is up, you might not own the intellectual property that that employee brings, and quite frankly, you hired them to create.
And then you have ostensibly a unintended obligation
Right.
to a company that could even be competitive.
A competitor of yours, right.
Yeah, that would be a
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
big thing to
Yeah.
avoid
Right,
if
right.
possible.
Yeah.
So we have a core set that we're launching this week. What are like the future plans, and is this it? Are we just putting it out there? Or how are we going to add to the growing base here?
So the content that we're putting out in our initial modules will continue to add to and develop as time goes on. Very quickly, these initial modules will be followed by a couple of other topics that we're really excited about, one of which you alluded to earlier, which is founders' dilemmas. We're working with Noam Wasserman, who's written a very influential and important book about some of the crucial decisions that founders make that can really influence the trajectory of their businesses. For example, should I found by myself? Should I found with a team? If I form a team, who should be on that team? What should they look like? How should we negotiate our roles within the company? And very importantly, how should we divide the equity in this
that's
new
a biggie.
company that we're developing? And so we have a series of modules that are coming out on that topic. And we've also been working with Steve Blank, who's going to be talking about who's going to be talking about customer development, prototyping, and some of the early things that you need to do in a company to ensure that you're presenting a product that, hearkening back to this question of selling, there's actually a market for, and that you will find customers for once you begin the process of selling something.
Those all sound like pretty vital topics, and hopefully will be a great asset for entrepreneurs to access and learn from. But we're not thinking it's going to be consumed exclusively by individuals, do we? I mean, we also put this out there as an asset for kind of the educational community. Perhaps you can talk or elaborate a little bit on how we see, whether it's academics or economic development organizations or other NGOs using this content, this resource.
Yeah, absolutely. So the school was really designed with entrepreneurs in mind. That is, to help answer the questions that entrepreneurs might have. But because we've leveraged these experts and presented their lectures in the format of a curriculum, there's a resource there that I think anyone who's working with entrepreneurs could use, whether it's for themselves, to learn about a topic they don't know very well, or to use in teaching entrepreneurs, providing subject matter experts, rich resources that they might wish to provide to the entrepreneurs they're working with.
So we're launching this. It's going to be out there. Hopefully a lot of people are going to use it. A lot of organizations are going to use it and find great value in the care that was put together in curating the topics that are covered and what's out there. But we also want to hear from the community that's using it, and get feedback. So how can people do that? How can they reach out to you and share, their thoughts on it, their experiences using it, and maybe make suggestions for future releases?
Anyone who's interested in reaching out to us can reach us at founderschool@kauffman.org. One of the things that we hope to do in the future is to engage people directly with the content. And we'll be interested in hearing from people how they're using the content. Are they getting together with others to discuss this material? We'll also, here in Kansas City, be affording an opportunity for local entrepreneurs to meet some of the experts that are presenting on Founder School, to meet them in person, to hear from them and engage with them one-on-one or in large groups to further engage with the material. We're calling that Founder School Live.
Well, Wendy, I got to tell you, I'm as excited for Founder School as any other big program or initiative of the Kauffman Foundation. And I also want to take one brief moment to call out a few folks that are behind the camera, so to speak, Amanda Schneiders and Matt Long, who have been instrumental in putting this together. Amanda is always behind the camera on these episodes of Top of Mind, but was very, very involved in putting this together. It's been a labor of love for you all for the last 12 months, and I'm so excited now that we get to share it with the world. Thank you for joining me today on Top of Mind.
Thanks a lot.